Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting up to speed without drowning in information. Today, we are really getting into Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind. It's one of those books that genuinely shifted how a lot of people think about, us. Our goal here is to pull out the absolute core insights from this huge, ambitious work. We're focusing on how Homo sapiens went from being, just another animal to basically running the planet.
Yeah.
And we're working from a pretty sharp, concise review of Sapiens, so we're cutting straight to the chase.
Absolutely. And what's so brilliant about Harari's approach, I think, is how he just pulls together history, anthropology, sociology, even philosophy. It all flows. It's not just like a list of historical facts. It really pushes you to question the things we think we know about ourselves, about our journey. So this deep dive is about giving you those key threads, the ones that really make up the story of humanity.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Sapiens, published back in 2011. It's nonfiction, obviously, history, anthropology. But it reads more like a biography of our entire species, from the very earliest humans right up to now.
And it properly challenges you. It's not just recounting events. Harari constantly makes you ask, okay, what about happiness? What is progress? What does freedom even mean in this context? It gives you this fresh, sometimes kind of provocative perspective on why things are the way they are.
Right. So Harari pinpoints these huge turning points. The first big one he talks about is the cognitive revolution. Happened, around 70,000 years ago? Okay, let's dig into this. If sapiens weren't the strongest or fastest, how did we end up on top? What was the secret sauce?
Well, Harari's central argument, and it's really powerful, is that our edge wasn't brawn, it was imagination. Specifically, the ability to create and share myths, stories, fictions. This unique skill let early humans cooperate flexibly and crucially in really large numbers, far bigger groups than any other primate could manage. And that was the foundation for building complex societies.
He has that fantastic quote, something like, "Fiction has enabled us not merely to imagine things, but to do so collectively." And that just stops you in your tracks, doesn't it? You start thinking, how much of our world right now is built on stuff we just collectively agree exists, like money?
Exactly. Or nations, or corporations, or human rights even. These are all, in Harari's terms, intersubjective realities. They exist purely because we collectively believe they exist. Think about brand loyalty, for example. It's not tangible, but that shared belief gives a company immense power. Harari helps us see this isn't just abstract fluff. It's the actual mechanism behind large-scale human cooperation.
Okay, so that cognitive leap sets the stage. Then comes the next massive shift, the agricultural revolution, starting maybe 10,000 years ago. Harari famously calls this one a double-edged sword. What's the paradox there? What's he getting at?
Well, the obvious upside was food production went way up. This allowed for much larger populations, settled villages, towns, the beginnings of civilization as we often picture it. But, and this is the crucial but, it also brought a whole host of problems. Suddenly you have serious social hierarchies, inequality, a division of labor that wasn't always pleasant, plus living packed together with domesticated animals. That was basically an invitation for new diseases to jump across and spread like wildfire.
It sounds like we thought we were mastering nature, but maybe we just signed ourselves up for a different kind of struggle. Harari has that killer line. Ironically, humans did not domesticate wheat. Wheat domesticated humans. That really flips the script. What does that tell us about this idea of progress that we often just assume is good?
It's a huge reframe, isn't it? It suggests that what looks like a smart move, hey, let's grow more food, can actually subtly change everything about how we live. We ended up tied to specific plots of land, working much longer hours, often with worse nutrition than hunter-gatherers, all just to keep this agricultural system going.
Yeah.
It really makes you question whether we were always driving the bus, so to speak, or if we became passengers in a system we created but didn't fully control.
So beyond these huge revolutions, Harari also looks at what allowed us to scale up cooperation even further. How did we start connecting with total strangers across vast distances?
Right. He identifies 3 key unifiers, these abstract systems that let people who've never met trust each other and work together. And those are money, empires, and religion. Think about it. Money creates this universal value system based purely on shared trust. It doesn't matter if you don't speak the same language, you both trust the coin or the note, or nowadays the digital entry. Empires impose standardized laws, languages, and cultures over huge areas, forcing diverse groups into a single political framework. And universal religions offered shared myths, values, and moral codes that could bind millions together, transcending local loyalties.
Okay, that makes sense. So that brings us closer to the modern era, the scientific revolution. Started about 500 years ago and obviously still very much ongoing. How did this focus on discovery, on knowledge, fundamentally change the game again?
Harari argues, very persuasively I think, that the scientific revolution didn't happen in a vacuum. It was deeply intertwined with and fueled by other major developments, specifically capitalism, imperialism, and industrialization. It's like a feedback loop. Science provides new knowledge and technologies. Capitalism provides the funding and the drive to turn those discoveries into profit. Imperialism provided access to global resources and markets, often funding scientific expeditions too. And then industrialization took the scientific and capitalist momentum and scaled it up massively, changing production, society, everything at a speed never seen before.
Okay, so stepping back and looking at the whole book, Sapiens, what's the big picture for us as readers? What are its main strengths? And maybe where do people, raise an eyebrow?
Oh, the strengths are huge. I mean, the sheer ambition and scope, covering 70,000 years, linking biology to history to economics, is breathtaking. And he does it in a way that's incredibly readable and engaging. That interdisciplinary thing is key. He makes you see connections you just hadn't considered. But yes, there are criticisms. Some historians feel he sometimes simplifies very complex situations to fit the narrative arc, makes it a smoother story perhaps, but maybe loses some nuance. And certain interpretations, particularly around, say, the impact of religion or the nature of capitalism, are definitely provocative. They can feel biased, depending on your own viewpoint. But honestly, the fact that it sparks that debate is probably part of its strength too.
Which kind of brings us full circle to why this deep dive matters, why Sapiens itself matters to you listening right now. If you want that big picture understanding, that framework for thinking about where civilization came from, how societies develop, the role of science, the big philosophical questions, Sapiens delivers that. It's dense knowledge made accessible.
Absolutely. It gives you such a valuable toolkit for understanding the world today. You start seeing current events, power structures, cultural trends through this much longer historical lens. It really helps you grasp concepts like culture, identity, social change in a deeper way. It's not just learning facts, it's building your analytical muscles, making you think more critically about the forces shaping our lives. It connects the ancient past right to your doorstep.
Yeah, it really has been a fascinating journey back through Sapiens. Harari definitely offers a powerful way to reframe what it means to be human and maybe understand a bit better how we got here. The way he blends complex ideas with such an accessible style is pretty remarkable. We really hope this deep dive has sparked some insights for you.
And maybe just one final thought to leave you with. Building on Harari's core idea, if our ability to create and believe in shared fictions, money, nations, laws, whatever, is what gave us dominance over the planet, what are the most powerful fictions that are shaping your reality, our reality right now? And crucially, what might be the unforeseen, the double-edged consequences of those fictions for our future?
That's definitely something to chew on. We really encourage you. Keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep looking for those aha moments that help make sense of it all.